Anyway, now I'm just going to do a wee bit of work on the bonnet or the hood. There's a couple marks, a couple of dints in here that are underneath the filler. There's one there, and another one, shallow one in there. So I'm going to weld a couple of nails in here and see if I can pull, especially this one and this one here, because that's quite badly in. As you can probably see there. And this one's not quite so bad, but I'll put something on here too and just try and pull a little bit more of it out. Let's see if I can get this right. How you going, everybody? So back out here again. Still do a bit more work on this bonnet hood. It's had when we ground all the filler off and everything, and all the paint off it, there was some damage in the front here. You can still see a bit of it. I've actually pulled a bit out, but then I realised it actually had quite a hoop in here. I've bashed this out a bit. You can see in there now there's probably, I don't know, what is it, 4 or 5 mil. What's that? Probably, quarter of an inch thereabouts. I was probably back half an inch before. If you compare it to this side, like there is a little dent there. If you compare it to this side, like there's almost, well, there's a little bit of a gap there, but it's not quite as pronounced, like it's not as round through that area as what it is through here, but it's not far away now. I just need to bring it out a little bit further. And also I welded some nails on here and pulled it a bit and in here, and I tried to take a bit more of the dent out of here. This one wasn't very bad. I pulled it up a little bit. I think with a bit of filler now, it won't be too bad, and a few coats of high build. And here won't be too bad either, because I managed to bash some of it out actually through the inner skin, because it's sort of hard up against it. I managed to push it out a bit. But now that I've started to get this reasonably straight, I'll have another bit more of a go with it. With this, I've just been using that tough stuff underneath there, and then using the big hammer, and just trying to drive it all forward. Then I'll turn it back over and I'll have another look at this and just see how it's panning out on the other side, and maybe pull it out a bit more. Now that this sort of shape's right, it might have relieved a bit of tension on it, so it might actually come out a bit easier. But yeah, so we're getting there, and then I might have a clean up on underneath here. The weather's a bit iffy, so I don't really want the car out there too much. Well, it was pissing down with rain earlier on this morning, but it's sort of fined up a bit now, so hopefully it might hold. And I might get a chance to get some paint off the inside of this. I was going to use some paint strippers and try to get the worst of it off, but I might just use the wire brush on the angle grinder and see if I can get the worst of it off, and then what I can't get off with that, I'll get off there with a paint stripper and then sort of clean it up the best I can later on. And I need to probably try and do something with this. I'm guessing this bolt's possibly stripped, so I need to have a look at this and just see what's going on here, because it's been bloody welded on here. Unless I don't really want to leave it, but I might have to, and just clean it up and tidy it up. It's not ideal. I'll see how I go for time, because I'd also like to get it off so I can get that bloody hood ornament base off. See if I can get that off, but I really need that out of the road to do it. But yeah, we'll see how we go. And this is like just a couple of bolts to get that off the hood catch, latch, whatever you want to call it, secondary catch. So yeah, we'll get into it and get this bit more cleaned up. And see if we can get this just a little bit straighter. This is probably the last of the bit of just actual panel beating. I think I've got the rest of it sort of beat, apart from that hole for the shifter in the floor. But I can sort of do that at any point really, within reason. But I just want to try and get this straightened up, just make sure this is a bit straighter. I didn't actually realise there was quite such a hoop in it. I thought it was just sort of banged in, but it was actually pushed back too, so we'll get this straighter. Alright, cheers. Out here with the paint stripper, sorry about the wind noise if it sounds too bad. So just back to this all fully stripped, and just bits and pieces to go. Biggest problem is we've just washed it off now, getting water pooling in it, even though I've sort of turned it up the other way and got rid of it, most of it, but I'll have to stand it up and let it really drain out. This is the other reason why I want that rust stuff. Try and clean up all this surface rust underneath this thing. It's really bad. Just got the inner fender wells or guard wells, what do you want to call them. Just look at this one. It looks like it's been a bit bent. Just not quite sure. Just hard to tell with looking at this one, because it sort of caves in like that too, but it looks like it's got a bit of damage in it too. I'm just not 100% sure what it's meant to look like, because I don't really want to leave it like that if it's not meant to be like that. And there's lots of little holes in it, but I'll get all the paint up first, and then I might go along and weld up some of these extra holes, clean them up a bit. So I'll get some paint stripper on these shortly while I'm sort of puddling around with other stuff as well. Alright, how you going everybody? So I've dragged these out and I've paint stripped them. There's still a little bit of paint on them, but the rest of it will come out with wire wheel, but I've got to panel beat this because it's been all crushed in. This one all cleaned up. I'll give it a decent scuff back with the sanding pad and everything later on, but I think I've got that prepped enough now where it's ready for that rust stuff when it gets here. Hopefully, sort of early next week. But I've got the outsides cleaned up at the moment. Just quickly done this. Done underneath it as well. And again, I'll rust treat all that all as well. And have a little bit of been doing, because I've just about finished getting all the paint off the back of here. Not that it's very easy to see. Get a little bit closer. Yeah, I've cleaned most of the paint off in here, so just bits and pieces I've got to get off. Waiting on it to bubble up. So yeah, I've got that all cleaned up. So I've got a wire brush with that too, and neutralise that with all that rust stuff as well. And I've got the bonnet of the hood in here ready to clean up with the wire wheel, but I haven't got back to this because I was trying to do all the less noisy stuff. So I'm ready sort of to do that. So once I've got all this finished cleaning off, I'll start getting into this. I'll get this cleaned up first with the wire wheel, get all the last of the paint off it and everything, and then I'll set that aside and I'll start with the inner guards and bits and pieces. So I'm just about ready to apart from cleaning the major outside of the part of the body off with a DA sander and the boot lid and the inside of the boot lid, even though that's been stripped, I want to get that black stuff off. I'm basically ready. Like it's just a bit more final prep, and then you treat everything with that rust neutralizer, that anti-ox. I'll do a full separate video on that on I'll find one of the real rusty spots, maybe one of those in the fenders or something like that, and just show you how it works, and maybe some of the bits on here. I'll do some of the bits on here because like you can see, like there's a lot of surface on this, and then especially on the inside. I really want to get neutralised, so when I put paint on here, it's not peeling it off. So hopefully, we're right on the home stretch of finished work. I think next weekend. I've just started beating the crap out of this. I've punched out quite a way. I figured out what shape it's meant to be, so I'm just trying to beat it out and see if I can get some shape in it, and then I'll keep playing with it till I get it right. So it's a bit of a well, not really but it's only just started bashing it out, so I'll keep going, and hopefully in a few minutes I'll give you a bit more of a progress. A few minutes later, starting to come. There's a bit more work here, but obviously, but at least we're probably back out to, you know, almost rough shape. Just getting all these creases out now. We'll get there. Here you go. So I've beaten this out. It's not perfect yet, but this was sort of all kinked around and this was all sort of muddled up. I've bashed this out pretty good. I think it probably needs a little bit of work, but it's not bad. You know, it just needs a little bit of final. But I've gone out with a wire brush and just try and get the rest of it cleaned up and maybe knock a few more of these other smaller dents out and maybe prepare to get this welded up. But I just want to get all the shit off it. Get it ground back so I've got it ready for how's it going on there? Sprinkler. Yeah, get it ready for this rust treatment so then I can get it really prepared up. But that's lots better than it was. It's not, like I said, it's not dead perfect, but it's probably good enough now that I can leave it until a wee bit later on so I can get all this other stuff cleaned up. And the only other thing I want to do once I get it bolted back in the car is figure out what part of this is seen, what part of it's not, because I'll texture undercoat a lot of the back of this and the piece that goes up underneath the fender that's not actually seen in the engine bay. I'll use that texture coat in here, so it's got heaps of protection, so if any shit sits in there, it's like at least it's got a, you know, it's not going to rust out quite as quick. But it's lasted this long, so that's looking good. It was a wee bit bent up in here, so I've straightened that out a little bit. So that's one done. On to the next.